My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live in association with the Weather Channel. The weather has cleared. The sun is out at Providence in Guyana. And we have a game. 43 overs aside. We lost an hour and a little bit. So the moment you go beyond an hour, you start to lose time. And play will start 9 o'clock local time. Aakash Chopra is here. Zaheer Khan is here. India won the toss and are bowling first. 43 overs aside. Let's take a look at the playing 11 first, gentlemen, then we can leave you to talk over it. So Shreyas Iyer comes in at 4. That was expected. Pant 5, Jadhav 6. It's pretty much an expected 11 this. Your first thought, Zach?
Except for Chahal, I think. I was expecting Chahal to be part of this 11. Rest is pretty much the same. It was a toss-up between Khalil Ahmed and Saini possibly. And Khalil Ahmed has got the nod. So yeah, I'm just a bit surprised with
Chahal for Kuldeep?
Yes. So we'll have to wait and see. You know, maybe too many left-handers in West Indies also had got that edge for Kuldeep to participate in this match.
Yeah. Your first.
I was also feeling that since Bhuvneshwar Kumar played all 3 T20Is and they were back-to-back 3rd, 4th and 6th, perhaps he could have been given a break, and both Navdeep Saini and Khalil could actually play in the 11. We've seen, and in fact, that's what Bish was also talking about, that they haven't really won. We have seen the stats that this team hasn't really won so many games. So this is an opportunity. So when you're not looking at just the outright result where the game is going to head, or you try and use your resources judiciously, just keeping in mind that where exactly do you want to finish. So Navdeep Saini and Khalil both are going to be here, and that's it. After this, they just go back home. So maybe Navdeep Saini for Bhuvneshwar Kumar was what my thought. Otherwise, it looks all right, and perhaps a call has been taken, which is great. That KL Rahul is not your designated number 4 now, because he was picked as an opener, played at 4, went to open. Now he will not be.
Hopefully,
I'm just hoping. Yeah, I'm hoping.
Hopefully the thinking is clear that this is what it's going to be now.
No, that's the mandate that you need to give. If you still are cluttered and these 2-3 innings are going to decide Shreyas Iyer's fate with regards to how he's going to progress as number 4, then we'll go round and round in circles, and that you don't want.
30. He said 30.
30. Yeah.
So that number can be debated. I'm just saying, 30 is a good number for anyone to figure out. If he's not going to be doing it in 30 innings, then you might as well.
Because you need to give them a cycle.
Yeah.
See how he comes back. He'll do well. If he fails a little bit, see how he comes back. Because every player goes through that cycle. So.
And the other thing that's going to happen, and even though once again nobody is preparing for 2023, but they're going to chart a new course very soon. I think Kedar Jadhav will also be shown the door in the next 6 to 8 months is what I see. Because if you've got Pant, if you've got Jadeja playing, Hardik Pandya comes back, who goes out? Then you're looking at Kedar Jadhav, maybe replace him with another batsman. So there might just be another slot opening up. Kedar was indispensable because he could roll his arm over. But if you're going to play both Jadeja and Hardik Pandya, then you don't need Kedar anymore. Then you can start looking ahead a lot sooner also. So maybe that's another slot opening up not too long.
Before we go into that West Indies lineup, your thoughts on that, on number 6, Kedar Jadhav. He's been around for a while. I think on an average he plays 19-20 balls per inning. So he's never really had that time to show himself off as a batsman. But so you're happy with him at 6? India play 15 one-days, I think, between now and the start of the IPLs.
Well, Kedar Jadhav is a smart cookie. He understands his game and he plays according to the situation. I think if you want to give Kedar Jadhav a longer run, then you should look at Kedar Jadhav batting up the order. So maybe 4 is also not a bad number for him because he's someone who is very smart. He will play according to the situation of the game. If the situation demands that you have to up the tempo of the game and up that scoring rate, he will play accordingly, and he has played those kind of innings as well. So what happens, that number 5, 6 position is possibly the most toughest position in ODI
Ajay Jadeja sits here and he talks about it all the time.
So you need special players there, and you cannot judge those players just purely on the basis of numbers. Because at that position it's very difficult to stack up those numbers which are impressive. So you have to judge them in terms of what kind of impact you are making in a particular situation, and unfortunately the opportunities where you have the luxury of taking your time and then really doing the damage, you seldom get those kind of opportunities. I mean, if you have that kind of opportunity, that means your top order has failed. So it's a very tough situation to be in as number 5, number 6 in ODI format, and Kedar will have to, because he's not a power hitter. He's not someone who will rely on hitting those big sixes. So he has to find a way, and then if the situation demands someone who is hitting sixes and boundaries consistently, then is this going to be that much harder for him to create impact at that?
We'll wait and see. He's
Just
playing
slip
for
in
now, yeah.
Just slip in a quick point about Kedar. For all this while, and we discussed this earlier as well on this very show, that India was playing T20 cricket in the one-day format. And like in a one-day mold, you were only looking at one-day players. Kedar is not a T20 player. He's not even in the T20 side. So if he's not your T20 player, there is a possibility that you'll start looking at one day from the T20 lens for the next 12 months, because you're preparing for World T20, and therefore it makes his job even tougher to retain his spot in the ODI 11, just keeping that T20 World Cup in mind.
What about the West Indies then? They have a new captain, Jason Holder comes in. So let's look at the West Indies side. They've gone one fast bowler short. They're going Kemar Roach and Sheldon Cottrell. Then they'll use Holder and Brathwaite, Fabian Allen and Roston Chase. So they got those 6 bowling options. But they're batting first. So Gail Lewis, so they're stuck with Lewis, even though he's been in terrible form. Gail Lewis, Hope Puran, Hetmyer, Chase, Holder, Brathwaite. So they've got a fair bit of batting. They've got 3. I mean, is Jason Holder a 10 overs bowler? In this case, an 8-9 overs bowler? Because otherwise, they've got Brathwaite, Holder, Chase, Allen. None of whom are really full quota bowlers, right?
But I like the balance of this side.
Yes.
If you look at this bowling attack, you'll see variety. You have Sheldon Cottrell, who is bringing the ball back in.
Yes.
He has been in wicket-taking form, so that should be an advantage in this format. Kemar Roach is someone who bowls a lot of deliveries which goes into the right-hander, and he's very consistent with his line and length. Has been in wicket-taking form through the World Cup. So that is an advantage. Holder then brings in that bounce and that little bit of movement which can be useful in that middle phase, particularly when batsmen are not looking to play those big shots, and with 5 fielders inside the ring, he can create that kind of pressure. For this track, I think bringing in 2 spinners is the ideal choice. So
not a bad spinner, Ross.
Yeah, so you have a good balance in terms of your bowling attack, and when you look at that batting on paper also, you'll have a good combination now of power hitters and someone who can rotate the strike. Shea Hope is definitely someone who can look to play that anchor role, which will be very important since West Indies is batting first.
Again, now you've got time till 9 o'clock. As I look at my watch, it's 1:45. So you can go on and select your team, select your players, and participate on my11circle.com. Download the app if you haven't already, and get on and start playing. Remember, it's Dada Kawada. You beat him, you get 3 times the amount. So we'll wait and see. So that is what you can do. Now also, just as we were coming in here, the first news came in that one of the world's most popular players, one of the most dignified players around the world, he went into bat and everyone wanted him to score runs. Hashim Amla is retired. This is, so in recent times, I mean, Brendan McCullum had already retired. Now Hashim Amla. Dale Steyn only from Test cricket. The Hashim Amla is they're saying the first news coming says all international cricket.
And that's a huge loss. You knew that he was
the time was coming, right?
Getting closer to just all good things come to an end. Shadows were getting longer. You know that sun is setting on somebody's career. But you also knew that there was some gas left in the tank. He was still playing the World Cup. And even though the World Cup was not that astonishing, but he did get runs in the warm-up games. He got a few 50s as well towards the latter half of the World Cup. So you knew that if he wanted to carry on, he could have carried on. So he's actually left the stage at a stage when people are asking why and.
But you're right. He's right. The shadows were lengthening. You could make out that Hashim Amla was coming to the end, isn't it?
Also, the way he plays his game as well, he had those quick hands, and with time, they do get slower, and the reflexes do get slower, which was seen with Hashim as well. And but when you look at his career, he's had a fantastic career, in terms of the consistency which he's achieved, and made that impact not only in Test matches but also in ODIs and T20 as well. He was never been looked at a shorter format player. But when you look at those numbers, they will
Serious.
surprise you very pleasantly, and the consistency which he has got those runs with has been phenomenal. I think it was a classic example of Asian origin player learning to play on quick tracks.
Yeah.
So he didn't move from his as in the Asian style of play, which is using a lot of wrists. And that was a classic example of how Asian origin player can adapt to the quick tracks of South Africa and has a very distinct style of batting in those conditions.
I think he said he'll play domestic cricket, but both of you have been. Do you get a little indication inside you? जो अंदर की आवाज कहते हैं हम कि बेटे time हो गया. I remember the late David Hooks telling me once he was playing a Shield game, and they bounced a couple at him. And as Alan Border was passing by, he said, I think one hit his helmet. As he was passing by, Alan Border said, smell the coffee, mate, the time's come. I just wonder, the Jofra Archer bouncer.
That's what I was thinking about as well, that he's been hit on the head a couple of times. He also knows that when you actually are that big a player and you've done so well over a period of time, and keeping in mind that he batted at the top of the order in South African conditions, perhaps the toughest conditions to bat across the globe, where everybody struggles generally. Yes, even though you're growing up there, you're learning your craft there, but still the conditions are tough for everyone, and you included. There he got so many runs, and when you set that bar too high, then you actually are competing with yourself. And with him, you would expect that he'll be brutally honest.
I mean,
that there is nothing, there's no looking back, there's no coming back.
Zach, last 10 years, if you look at the great South African test players, you'd look at A.B. de Villiers, but you'd look at Dale Steyn and Hashim Amla. Maybe these were the three. I know there was Morne Morkel, there was Faf du Plessis, there were others around in the support cast.
Kallis as well.
Kallis, he finished, what, 4 5 years ago, yes.
I think
he has this way of just dropping that name like that, true. Kallis was.
Kallis and Hashim, I think, as far as test matches are concerned, because Kallis also someone who had a very strong technique.
Only that I didn't mention
and you need that kind of
4 5
technique to put up those kind of numbers, and particularly in those conditions which Akash was talking about. It's not easy condition for any batsman to adapt. At any stage in the game, you always have some kind of help from the wicket, and that makes it batting that much tougher. So that is a testimony to your concentration, that is testimony to your adapting and finding a way of putting those hundreds on board, which Hashim has been doing consistently. So I think with South African cricket, I think these two names are right up there when it comes to.
There's one more player they need to find now. I mean, there's not a lot of players coming.
They're struggling already. They're struggling already, and no AB, no Hashim. Yes, the younger crop is looking promising. There is Aiden Markram, who looked all right. Van der Dusen looked all right.
They're coming to India to play test matches.
Well, it's a 3-test match series. It's going to feel a lot longer without Hashim Amla, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that game in Delhi, wasn't it? Hashim Amla and A.B. de Villiers just batted on
Stuck
and on.
it out, yeah. Till that Umesh Yadav ball that dismissed, I think A.B. de Villiers down the leg side. They could have easily actually gotten away with a draw in that game.
Yeah, but the one word you associate with Hashim Amla, apart from class, is dignity. That's a calm. They said he never sweated. You could just see he was just so calm. You got the feeling that the world was a little pause gently, salam. You go like that.
He's always in that zone.
Yeah, always very.
You could just look at him and know that he's just in his own world and going about doing his business.
There you are. So the news from South Africa that the mighty Hashim Amla has said goodbye to international cricket. And the news from Providence in Guyana, in Georgetown, is that India have won the toss again, and that India will bowl. The West Indies will bat first. It's a 43-over game, and it starts about now, in about 8 or 9 minutes. So thank you very much for joining us here on My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live in association with the Weather Channel. We'll be back with you twice in between. Well, 15th over, we normally do 35th over. We'll see how the game's going. But we'll be back with you on Cricbuzz Combox after the 15th over. So join us then.